I visited the website Institute for Family Studies. I'm going to leave the link below in the description so you can read it in its entirety. I think it's really good. So this is going to be a little lengthy, but I think it's worth your time when it comes to why men aren't really encouraged to be husbands. And they said this in the blog that men resist marriage because it entails substantial change in their behavior and commitment. I thought that was good. I tweeted about this the other day, and a lot of people got upset. And then, some women was on the team, and then there were some guys, but there were some people, especially on the guys, that got a little frustrated with this. But here's my thing. When it comes to change behavior, when you're going from singleness in today's culture, when you're going from being single to being married, I believe that there's a big transition that needs to take place. If you are a man and you're used to, and this is no judgment on any men, any women, no judgment, okay? So don't come for me in the comments. I know this is going to be a little touchy, but let's discuss it because a lot of people were inquiring of this. With men, when you're coming from a state of singleness, you're used to doing things your way, how you want to do it, when you want to do it. If you want to date 4 or 5 women at one time, that's what you do. If you want to sleep around with as many women as you want to, that's what you do, right? And nobody's going to hold you accountable to that. It's your life. But when you're going into a marriage, there's some things that have to change. Like they said, substantial change in behavior and commitment. I tell women that when they're dating, ask the man how long have you been single, as far as really not seeing other women, because it's hard for a man to leave his whole phase or whatever he was doing and to just jump right into a marriage because he's used to having that variety. So to go from that to jump straight into a relationship, that stuff takes time. So you have to be careful in that area with men. I would say take some time to yourself and get that stuff off of you. Take some time to think about, where you want to be in the future and think about some things that you want to do from personal goals perspective. So I think that's very important. Men resist marriage because it entails substantial change in their behavior and commitment, because going into marriage, you can't do the things that you used to do. And it makes getting into marriage hesitant for men. Are you tired of dating the same person, just different faces? Are you tired of people wasting your time in this whole dating process? Do you desire to marry one day? I created this 5-part video series entitled Dating Intentionally, 5 Ways to Know They Are the One for You. You can get it now in the comment section below. You will see it is 5, the number 5, ways to know.podia.com. I created this 5-part video series with you in mind. Now let's get back into today's podcast episode. Now, the National Marriage Project drew on discussions they conducted with 60 never married heterosexual men who came from a variety of religious, ethnic, and family backgrounds and age from 25 to 33. This is from the National Marriage Project. These men reported that the main reason they resist marriage is that they can enjoy many of its benefits without actually getting married. That is, through cohabitation. So that's what men were saying from 25 to 33. So I'm not going to use that phrase, but I mean, why get married when you get all the benefits? And I know you've heard that thousands and thousands of times, but a lot of times people still fall for it. I mean, if I'm doing my thing and I'm sleeping around and I'm living my life, I'm not accountable to anybody. Why would I leave that lifestyle to jump into a marriage and then all of a sudden be accountable? I don't know too many people that's going to take that option. So this reason alone, a lot of men is like, I'm not going to give up what I have just to be with one person, so call it what you want, but it's the truth. And a lot of guys think like that, especially if you're younger. Shoot, maybe even if you're older, because some guys, they go through these stages and stuff, and they just want to live their life. And again, I know this is kind of tough to swallow, but I'm here to discuss it. So that way, if you're a woman, you can really hone in on this video and think of the things that I'm telling you and kind of reconstruct your game. And then for men, I'm being honest about this. And marriage isn't for everyone. That's cool. Whatever you decide to do, that's what you decide to do. But for this topic, I do believe that people want to know why, especially the ladies, they want to know why men are not interested in being husbands. Further, as I continue to read from the blog, it says further, they reported experiencing almost no social pressures to marry, not from family, not from friends, and not from the families of the women they live with. So my question to you ladies is this: if you are living together, y'all cohabitating, is there any pressure on him to want to marry? Are you willing to discuss that? Are you willing to discuss that early in a relationship? And if you stayed throughout the video, I'm going to talk about some things that we can do to change this narrative to make things better. So I think a lot of it comes down to what happened in its infancy stages. When you were first talking, did you just say, well, this is something that, I just kind of want to see where this thing go? If that's the case, you can't hold him accountable, because he's like, cool, this is what we doing. This is what we doing. But if you are more intentional about the way you're going to go in your life and you are really considering marriage, it's okay to say, I desire to marry, so that way you set that, you put that boundary out there. And I'm going to talk about that a little later as well. Now, further, they reported that experiencing almost no social pressure, which I think is new for today's standards. Because I think back in the day, people were getting married, and now, with today's dating scene, people are marrying later in life. They aren't getting married at 19 and 20 anymore. They like 28, 29, 26, I think 26 for women and 28 for men, I believe. I have to go back and check the statistics, but people are marrying older. So a lot of times there isn't any social pressure because people are just living their life. They're pursuing degrees, they're stacking their money, buying property, they're living their life, they're traveling, different things of that nature. I think this was interesting too, is men said that one benefit of not marrying was that if they were to marry, their girlfriend, now wife, would tell them what to do. This could be evidence of an interview that after marriage, but not before, their partners have the right to tell them what to do. So this is something that men is looking at, that if we're dating or if we're in a relationship, we kind of have this level playing field. But if we get married, all of a sudden, it's like she becomes the boss. In marriage, we hear a lot of things, a lot of negative connotations with marriage, like the old ball and chain, or, if you want to be a born again, virgin again, get married, all these different things that you hear about marriage. And I think that if we start to change that narrative, I do believe that we can improve marriages, and something that people can look forward to when getting married. Some men don't like being held accountable to their wives, because she will say things like, I think you're drinking too much and I'm a little concerned. It's time for you to get a checkup. You work too much. Maybe you shouldn't stay so late at work every night. So these are different things that women are, they're concerned about the man that they're with. So men sometimes don't like being held accountable because she's going to challenge you on some things. And there's nothing wrong with that. I always tell people, you want to marry somebody smarter than you, or at least on your level, somebody that's going to help you level up, not only like financially and stuff like that, but also mentally and spiritually as well. But once we start to take accountability, and I did a video the other day about Shaquille O'Neal, and he was talking about in his marriage and why his marriage didn't work was because he was out of line. It was like he wasn't protecting his family. He just wasn't being accountable in his marriage. And he basically just told everybody that I wasn't doing what I should have been doing as a husband. And he gave props to his wife for her playing her part. So I appreciate that about Shaquille O'Neal and talking about that, about the accountability piece. Now, marriage is a beautiful thing. So here are some benefits that men benefit greatly from when it comes to marriage. Men not engaging in risky behavior. They start to think twice before they do something crazy. They make more money. These are the marriage benefits for men. Their health is better. They eat healthier. And women have great support systems, so the wife can open doors for him because of her connections from that support system. So she can open doors that he was never able to get into because of her community, because of who she's connected to. So those are some things that I think we should consider when it comes to why men not wanting to be husbands. Let's talk about, at the end of this video now, let's talk about how can we change this. Let's get back to prioritizing marriage, where men actually want to get married. And let's start teaching our kids about the importance of marriage. I think nowadays we teach our girls, get your degree, get your house, and that's nothing wrong with that. Boss up, be a boss chick, all that, I get it. But we don't teach our kids about like being interdependent and the importance of marriage, and how we should, like, if we join together, that we're better together. We teach more individuality when it comes to our children. So I think we should start prioritizing marriage again. And again, this isn't for everyone. This is those who want to make the necessary changes. And then the last but not least is, let's raise our standards and boundaries during the dating stage. And I talked about this earlier. If you're on a date, put it out there as far as what you're looking for. This isn't to put any pressure on the person, but you're having conversation. So that way, if he don't want to marry, that's cool. But you can just end the date right there. You don't have to try to twist his arm and want him to get married. Like, he has to want that for himself. One thing that worked for my wife and I, we both wanted marriage. That was something that we both desired. I wanted to remarry after going through a divorce, and she wanted to marry. So that was something common that we both had together. So we're like, okay, this is a great starting point for us. We married 6 months later. So if you are watching this video, make sure you share this with a friend. I think this is very important. I think a lot of people should check this out, because I know culture is shifting a little bit as far as not being married, but this is just something to think about. Make sure you share this video. Make sure you leave a rating and review if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts. Leave a rating and review. I would love to hear from you. Let's get those ratings and reviews up. If you do leave one, I'll be sure to shout you out as well. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and share this video with a friend. This is Sean Heineman at Scared to Remarry, your premier pre-engagement coach. Wanting you to love fearlessly. Take care, people.